You're now watching This AFC South Show, brought to you by Curtis Podcast Network, hosted by Curtis Brown, Blake Bellamy, Isaiah Michelle, and Jeff Steckel. Hello, everybody, and welcome to This AFC South Show, number 75, here on Curtis's Podcast Network. I'm the host, Curtis Brown. With me, as always, Jeff Steckel and Isaiah Michelle. Jeff Steckel, our Colts fan, Isaiah, our Jags fan. I'm a Texans fan, unfortunately, and we have our Titans guy. Blake is not here this episode. He's doing school stuff. All right, he's bettering himself. God dang it! So just give me a break. Anyway, so we're gonna be recapping the games. We'll start with Tennessee, then get into the Jacksonville bye week and some crazy rumors therein. Then we'll get into the Colts and the Eagles, the Texans, and the Commanders. All right. So with that being said, hit the like and subscribe buttons. We're at 123, so we need 877 more subscribers to hit 1,000. We are in the hunt for 1,000. And you can check the merch link in the description. Thank you, Jeffrey. Have I ever told you that, like, anytime I hear the name Jeffrey, one of my first thoughts is Men in Black 2? Jeffrey! Don't make me do this, Jeff! And he's talking, like, riding the giant worm that's like the size of the subway train.
There's that, and there's, 28 Jump Street?
Oh, hey, my name is Jeff. My name
One or the other.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so without any further ado, let's get into it. And we're going to start off here with the Titans and the Packers on Thursday night. Titans 27-17 victors over the Packers in Lambeau with a makeshift offensive line that oddly played its best game of the entire season. There were a couple things, like there was a huge screen pass to Derrick Henry for like 42 yards, and Aaron Brewer just reaches out his left hand and basically tries to clothesline Quay Walker, who's blitzing and coming in hot. And he just gets a handful of shoulder pads. He's not blocking that guy. They don't flag it. That's just, everybody and their mom saw that flag. And then that just didn't happen. It pisses me off. Anyway. So the Titans played really well. The defense does what it does. Aaron Rodgers cannot do much against this stout offense or stout defense. Jeffrey Simmons does what Jeffrey Simmons does, quietly just eating up space and blockers and making things happen for people, even when he can't be uber disruptive as per usual. I think the Titans, I mean, they needed this one. They needed to keep rolling and keep having, stacking, trying to continue stacking wins. This is very easily a game that they could have walked into and lost with the Packers team that's, trying their hardest to get back into this season. But with that, I'll open it up to you fellas.
Yeah, I think the Titans had one of their more decisive games of the season on Thursday. Defense played really well. That offensive line, I think they only let up one sack. So they did very good at protecting Tannehill, who I think had one of his best games of the season. Only had 5 incompletions and over 300 yards. So that was awesome. And it looks like Derrick Henry might even be a better quarterback than Mills.
The bar's low.
Pretty low. But I've got Henry in fantasy, and he threw a touchdown pass, ran for another almost 90 yards and another touchdown. He wasn't incredibly efficient, and I guess yards per attempt, but still 87 yards plus. What he did receiving, like 40, 50, something like that. So
45 on 2.
So I mean, I'll take 120 yards in a rushing and a passing touchdown. But yeah, the Titans keep rolling. They went into Green Bay and pretty much beat the shit out of them. I mean, they didn't. Most of the game, Rodgers just looked off.
Yeah,
that was by virtue of the Titans defense. So
Yeah.
definite hats off to them for the solid performance.
Yeah. Isaiah?
I mean, not really much to say in terms. I mean, basically what I thought was going to happen happened. I mean, it was a little bit. It wasn't as close of a game as I thought it was going to be, and I did kind of expect Green Bay to pull it out. But at the end of the day, they just, like I mentioned in the last episode, I mean, they just don't have any weapons. I mean, they need a lot, and they're not going to get that in one draft. It's going to take them a lot. They have to spend a lot of big money on people in the free agency, which they can't afford. But in terms of this game itself, I mean, Henry had a good game. Tannehill, he didn't lose him in the game. He played pretty well. Treylon Burks had a nice little come out game. Of course, we'll have to see if that continues, but it's just they had a pretty good all around game. They're kind of like that. I mean, they have great coaching, really good coaching in terms of Mike Vrabel and the team he's put together there. Even Blake didn't want to kill Downing after the game, so that's a plus. Yeah. Anytime you don't want to kill the offensive coordinator after a game, you're feeling pretty good. He did so well that he partied too hard and got a DUI the next morning. So good for him. Good old Dewey. But no, I mean that's really it. Henry, of course, getting going is always the recipe for success for a team that has been built on running the ball since the beginning of their franchise. So I mean, it was a solid game by them. Had a really good game, but again, this is also a Packers offense that went from having a reigning MVP and the leading touchdown receiver 2 years in a row to, yeah, we know how that went. Yeah. Adams left, and now he went on to greener pastures allegedly, and Green Bay is doing Green Bay things. So, sorry, Shelby, I just kicked my dog on accident, put my foot down. But not really much to go over there. Just a good game by them.
Yeah.
Right back off.
You mentioned it. Burks had a really solid game. 8 targets, 7 receptions, 111 yards, and a log of 51. That is his best outing as a Titan. What's happening with Isaiah? Do you see this? Is he frozen, or is that just me?
Might be frozen.
Interesting.
I'm just sitting still.
Oh, now
you look frozen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was stroking my beard, and I was kind of like, for a second, and then you said that, and I was like, I'm still here.
I mean, I definitely looked frozen on my end, but yeah, no, hats off to the Titans. I think Treylon Burks should be in consideration for AFC South MVP of the week. It's my just 2 cents. Anyway, so let's move on now to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have had a bye week. And for most teams, that means getting healthy, but the Jags were already pretty healthy. So instead, they were like, hey, what's the next best thing? Let's check the health of the stadium. Isaiah?
I mean, let's just say they found a couple Tekashi 6'9s, and we're just going to leave it at that. Allegedly. Allegedly, there were a few health code violations in the concessions, just a few. They might have found a dead rat or two somewhere, allegedly, okay?
Of course.
Who knows? It might, it could have been planted there for all I know. We are the Jaguars. It might have just having Jackson Dayville might have just been having a midnight snack and they found it.
There's the Chinese restaurant got out of their cages or something.
Beats me. They're doing some experiments on how to make the players stronger without using steroids, and the lab rats got out. I just, you go to any stadium, you'll probably find stuff like that. I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is. At the end of the day, I only get sodas from there. I don't eat the food. It costs too goddamn much, anyways. It's probably why there were rats, because nobody was fucking eating the food. It's like $12 for a fucking hot dog. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I go there to watch football. TIAA Bank, you suck. The stadium's pretty cool. We got big jumbotrons. No one goes for the food. They go for the jumbotrons. So, go Jags. Not really shit has happened. Honestly, the team's been super quiet this week. They haven't really been doing too much media stuff. No rumblings for, new players starting, different stuff like that. As far as I know, they're just getting ready for the next game and not eating it out of the concession stand. So,
yeah, they got the Ravens coming up. Lamar and the Ravens.
Fun fact: teams after losing or teams after beating the Panthers are 0-6 this season. The next week.
What?
So teams after beating the Panthers are 0-6 in the following week. So the 6 teams that have beat the Panthers this year have all lost the following week. So if Jacksonville wins, thank you, Carolina, for losing.
Yeah. One cat to another.
I know, right? The Pussy Pals. We love trading with them, so you know.
Jesus Christ! I wasn't ready for that. Oh God. But with that, let's go in now to the Colts and the Eagles. So this was a game that the Indianapolis Colts led for most of, if not all of the game, and at least from scoreboard watching, it looked as though, I mean, for a while I thought that the Colts were actually going to pull this out, but you texted me midway through the game, or not midway, but like pretty close to the end, that Jalen Hurts is pretty much cementing himself as one of the best running backs in the league right now.
Yeah, he definitely has an upward trajectory to be one of the best running backs in the league. It was a really frustrating game. The Colts came out on the opening drive, and JT ran, I think 7 times, 49 yards, and had a touchdown. So on the opening drive, he averaged 7 yards a carry, and like the line held up. Pryor wasn't there; he was ill. I don't care what it was. Thank God. Him not being there, it clearly makes them better. They're not great still, but them putting Fries in over him has made a big difference. But I said coming into this, the Colts needed to control time of possession. They needed to control and sustain drives. And they did that in the opening drive. It lasted almost 6 minutes. They punched it in for a touchdown. And then it just seems like they kind of shifted into cruise control and just hanging on to a lead, because all they did was put up, 3 more field goals. But the Colts defense looked outstanding. They set the tone right from the Eagles' opening possession. They got a first down, but nothing else, made them punt. And the Colts defense kept making them, shoot the Eagles in the foot. I think at one point they were like 1st and 35 on holding penalties and stuff like that. So, but the Colts defense was flying around the field. Franklin, Ngakoue. I think Franklin had a Darius Leonard, signature punch out. Ngakoue had a big sack fumble. So it was the first game that I think it was the first game that they've had positive turnover differential. So it was positive to see them actually creating turnovers. And even Campbell, I mean, it was the biggest play from scrimmage. I'm happy to see him doing well. There's a big 32-yard reception on 3rd and 3, so he came up pretty big. But and I'm not going to say that this is why the Colts lost, but it kind of is. The refs were trash through like half of this game. There was a sack on Ryan where he was clearly grabbed by the face mask as he was going down. And it's my understanding that the refs are looking exactly for that thing. So it's like, how did you not see Ryan's head turn like that as he's going to the ground? And it just wasn't called, killed a drive. And I think they wound up missing the field goal after that sack too. I think.
Yeah, because he was 3 of 4 on the day.
Yeah. They missed one of them either way. But it was like that was such a huge momentum killer. They had it, if not in the red zone, really close, and it should have been a penalty that was called. But, shit happens. I mean, they had plenty of opportunities to score outside of that, and they just didn't. But, they kept Hurts to under 200 yards passing. The biggest thing that killed us was letting him run. Like, there was one play where I think the go-ahead touchdown for Philly, where he had, 10, 15 yards of space right open in the middle of the field, and there wasn't a defender in it. He went in untouched. It's like, how do you not have someone on Hurts in that position? Just it doesn't make sense. It was, I don't know if it was like a blown assignment or what, but defense, they played well enough to win, and to lose by 1, it stings. It sucks. I came in saying it was a very winnable game, and they should have. Just they had their own penalties. they kind of shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
But I didn't really come into this expect. I predict. I think in our picks, I picked Indianapolis to win, but I really thought, you know, probably Philly's going to win. I'm just kind of a homer picking the Colts.
Yeah.
But yeah, Philly. It just sucks. I mean, they had 14 consecutive games where they scored more than 20. So to hold them under 17 through, I think they had 3 points through 3 quarters. So it's just,
Yeah.
it's really frustrating to come away with a loss on this one.
Yeah. I mean, I think Houston had a similar situation week 1 where they came away with a freaking tie.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Hate. Now, look, that game today, it was a stereotypical Jalen Hurts stat line, right around 200 yards, ballpark, passing touchdown, probably like 80 plus rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground, probably an interception. And I'm just guessing. I haven't even looked at his numbers.
No.
But I mean, you guys actually had me convinced for a while there that they were actually going to just continue it. Now, instead of having a winning streak, it's now a losing streak. I really wanted that to happen. Just, God, the Eagles fans are so loud. But on the other hand, the Colts fans are more present in my life, in the sense of online and shit. So them just piping down for a little bit is going to be nice. I just need them to chill, just relax, take it down a peg, just chill. All right.
I can't be too mad about this game. Like, I think most people came in thinking Philly had it, and to keep it at 1 point, Matt Ryan, he had 32 attempts, only 9 completions. I mean, they played well enough. Jonathan Taylor, almost 4 yards of carry and a touchdown. It's just, it really just fell apart in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They didn't sustain the drives like I said they needed to, and it's positive going forward because this is one of the top scoring offenses. So to hold them to 17, I mean, it's something to look forward to of what this team could. I imagine if Frank Reich had been the coach, they'd have lost like 35-6 or something. Like, it's just, I think he's got them playing the best that they can. So I think there's some positive going forward. I know some people have talked about, blowing this team up, and just rebuilding. I don't think there's enough reason to rebuild. You really just need a couple of linemen and draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
Really all they really need.
That's where it starts.
Yeah.
That's what we've been telling ourselves for years.
We
just need a couple linemen and a quarterback. Oh, Brandon Linder. Oh, AJ Can. Yeah. We'll bring in Norwell, Blake Bortles. Yeah. And we're bad again. All right. We're just a quarterback and a couple linemen away. It's just a cycle. It's a cycle.
Mm-hmm. That's the way it is. It's. I would argue that managing and coaching an NFL team from the front office perspective is such a daunting task. I mean, hell, CJ Fedorowicz played for the Texans for like 4 or 5 seasons and was 26 when he had to retire. You don't necessarily associate 26-year-olds with retirement for the NFL, but that shit just happens. So, I mean, we really haven't had a tight end since him. So it's been a prop for 5 years now. I don't know. It's just hard to hit on those positions. Isaiah, do you have any Colts commentary?
Not really. I mean, the Eagles just won in the same fashion they've been winning in every week, basically. I mean, they trail in most of the games they play, I feel like, at some point, or they just come out and they get the lead early and then they hold on to it and then they almost get beat and they just edge it out. This is just the case of the Colts not being aggressive enough, really. I mean, I feel like with the rate of completion that Matt Ryan had and the way JT was running the ball, they definitely could have put more points on the board. It just seems like they're kind of just trying to play it safe and hold on to a lead rather than expanding on the lead. And that was kind of like earlier in the season. I know we played the Chargers and people were like, we were up 28 to 17 or 10 or whatever it was, and we threw another touchdown pass. Like, oh, why are they doing that? It's like, because we're playing a team that's better than us, And I'm not saying that the Eagles are necessarily better than the Colts, but like, I mean, I'm not going to say they are better than the Colts, but when you're in a position where you have more points than a team that you would consider better than your own team, you never take your foot off the gas. I don't care if you have to score 60 points to send a message. I'm a firm believer in never trying to run out the clock unless you're running out the clock and still running plays to move the ball and score. Because just like this game shows, I mean, you can't let your foot off the gas or you start kicking field goals. When you start kicking field goals, you start missing field goals and staying out of field goal range. And when you start staying out of field goal range, the other team comes back and gets the win. It was definitely a situation where I wouldn't say they underestimated Hurts' running ability because he was only at 5.4 a carry, which is actually really good considering running quarterbacks typically average between 7 to 13. So, I mean, it's really big that they kept him that low, but it was the continuous running that really hurt. They kept Miles Sanders to low numbers. They didn't run as much with him, but, you know, I mean, they did pretty good, but that was the one place. What's that dude's name? Number 44 on your team, linebacker. Franklin. That textbook punch out, dude. That was great when he came in in support on the tackle. Textbook punch out. I love to see that. Which the ESPN app has it listed as Eagles D comes up big with fumble from Jonathan Taylor, and then you play. It's a picture of Buckner holding the football, and you click on the video, and it shows whenever Franklin punches it out. So ESPN's got to clean that up. But no, I mean.
No. On the previous drive, it was Jonathan Taylor did fumble, and then they got it right back.
Franklin is he's a young guy, isn't he? He's like a year 1 or year 2 guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really
young. He's looking good filling in. He's the one filling in for Leonard because he's coming off the left side, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean he's looking really good. I mean, you guys have some young pieces on that defense, and I don't think the defense needs as much work, of course, as the offense, but yeah, I mean, they really could be a quarterback and some offensive linemen away. Because I mean, honestly, just getting Taylor more run blocking and then getting a quarterback who can move a little bit and spread the ball around. I mean, if they had a better O-line, who's to say Matt Ryan's not one of the best quarterbacks in the division, if not the NFL right now. Right. But that's really any quarterback. You give them weapons and all that. But it was just a game where the Eagles are just a better team, and the Colts didn't follow through when they had the chance to beat them.
Yeah.
And on that fumble, like JT, that was another thing I wanted to talk about with the refs that really irritated me. Like he ran into a pile and there was 5 or 6 players tackling him, and he was stood up for a while. And I'm like, why are they not blowing the fucking whistle?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, and of course he finally fumbled it, and it's like even the commentators were like, any other game that would have been whistled dead. I don't understand why they didn't, but because they didn't. It's a fumble, but like that it should have been. Yeah. It was frustrating.
Speaking of frustrating, let's get into the Houston Texans taking on the Commanders. So, for any Texans fans out there, at this point, if you're rooting for wins, I don't know what you're doing. I really thought that this was going to be a little bit of a closer game. And if you take the early pick 6 away, it's still, it's a 16-10 game. And that kind of makes it a little bit better. The defense actually did do something. I mean, like, they didn't allow a 100-yard rusher. They did allow over 100 yards. But it was actually better this time. They didn't get a lot of pressure. And Heineke, he didn't have to throw the ball a whole hell of a lot. But when he did, he was pretty accurate. Jalen Petrie on the first drive of the game, the first pass, Taylor Heineke drops back, throws it deep, and Petrie has it land right in his hands, and he drops it. And we could have had the ball for the first time as the offense at like about the 45, 50-yard line, give or take. And instead, we end up getting the ball at the 25, and Mills just stares down Cooks on the second play of the drive and pick 6. And it was bad. Like, as soon as he snapped that ball, eyes to Cooks, and then Kendall Fuller was like, "Oh, I got this," and it was just bad. Damian Pierce had by far his least effective game as a pro this season, bringing in a total of 10 carries for 8 yards and 2 receptions for 9. Yeah. The offensive line. What?
Sorry. I was gonna say, did they really not throw a flag on that suplex tackle? I just saw that
No,
in the
they did.
highlights.
They did.
Okay. I didn't see it. I didn't. They didn't show it on the actual replay. So I was like, "There's no way they didn't throw a flag on that. That was ridiculous."
Yeah, they threw a flag.
Okay.
It didn't really matter. We still messed it up.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, I mean, Dameon Pierce couldn't get anything going. The offensive line was getting eaten alive. Kenyon Green, Scott Quesenberry, AJ Cann were getting worked play after play. Kenyon Green had 3 holding calls. I'm pretty sure Scott Quesenberry and AJ Cann both got walked into Davis Mills' lap, who was sacked 5 times today. He actually ran the ball a few times and got the only offensive touchdown on the ground with his legs, which is his first rushing touchdown of the season. And I mean, I think we walked away from today's game with 21 rushing yards as a team and 105 yards passing after sack yardage. So I mean, like, not an output at all whatsoever. But even still, I mean, like I said, you take away that pick six, and it's actually a little bit closer of a game as far as the defense is concerned. There was a couple passes, like when Davis Mills actually started to get into a little bit of a rhythm, he tried to stretch the field down to Brandon Cooks, and it gets tipped up in the air and barely caught for an interception, like deep at the 6-yard line late in the fourth quarter. And that was after we had already gotten 10 points. There was just a lot, like every time the Texans need some sort of momentum to be continued on their end, it fails, like miserably. And this is the mark of a bad team, folks. Like I was way too optimistic. I'm gonna let you know right now. If you go back and you watch any of the old episodes, I'm super optimistic about Davis Mills. I'm not optimistic anymore. However, with that being said, there's a huge void of talent on this team. Basically, outside of anybody who's not on a rookie contract, I'm cool with them going. Like that's just how this needs to go. At this point, I mean, like the defensive line is literally just free agent scrubs brought in every week. They got Roy Lopez, who's going to be 26 next season in his second year. So I mean,
Don't worry. When we cut Caleb on Chase on and Roy Robertson Harris, y'all will sign them because they come from AFC South teams. So you'll be set. More disappointments for years to come.
No. We're about to have super large amounts of cap space.
And you're not going to use it.
Oh, no. In the past, we haven't used cap space because we knew we were going to have to get rid of Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Weinstein, yeah.
Yeah, that's a better name for him. So we didn't make a lot of moves that were super costly so we could like actually come out on the other side of that move with a bunch of cap space. So
That'll be sweet.
I think we're supposed to be looking at like $80 million in cap space or more. And then next season, it's supposed to be like 150. So like, we're about to be able to spend some money, folks. We got hella draft capital, and that's what we're looking right now. We're looking towards the draft because next week we got Miami in Miami, and I don't expect Houston to have any sort of a better afternoon. Boys.
I mean, I'm sure Matt Pryor is about to come available in the offseason, so he's all yours. Yeah, you guys have a problem when Mills is your leading rusher with 10 yards. That's a big problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just a horrible line play or really good defense from I hate saying Commanders, from Washington.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a combination of both, but
it was definitely a combination of both. I mean, like just a complete lack of competence on the offensive line's part, and then just a complete like domination from Washington's defensive line. Jonathan Allen and Montez Sweat combined for like 5 sacks.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, I mean, offensively, Washington didn't light it up either, but It's just, ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like a good defensive game. I mean,
Right. And look,
from that standpoint.
if Houston has a competent offensive line in this game, they don't have to be all-stars, just competent, like doing like 50% better. And like if that happens, Davis Mills was able to throw and make some plays. I mean, he had a 41-yard bomb to Brandon Cooks later in the second half after they made some adjustments and got him down into the red zone the first possession of the second half, and then ended up not being able to do anything but kick a field goal. If you just get a little bit of competence out of them in that game, I think Davis might have played slightly better. I can't, hold a gun to my head and say that was going to happen for sure, but beyond that, we need a competent quarterback beyond everything. But I don't like the top three next year. I don't like the top three. I don't want.
Can't wait to see CJ Stroud in that red Houston helmet.
I don't want to see it. Anybody but an Ohio State quarterback. I'll take
Bryce Young.
I'll take Bryce Young at this point. Yep. The 5'10", 187-pound quarterback.
Yep. Got 5'11". Yeah. When you put him in cleats on concrete.
Yeah.
Leave Will Levis to us.
Based on the last 4 years average, the cap space is supposed to go up to like $221 million, I think, next year.
Yeah.
So that'll be a nice as well. So that'll kind of help out. Y'all have even more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think one thing that people are kind of doing every week though now is, I mean, they're kind of underestimating Washington's defense now that they're healthy again, especially. They have a really good defensive front, especially when they're healthy, and they have some decent guys in the back end that don't really get talked about. Yeah. But I mean, it was kind of surprising to me. I mean, even with how good their front is, I mean, Jacksonville ran decently well against Washington. I was kind of surprised to not see Pierce get more yards. But of course, when you're down like that, you have to throw more, and then that leads to more mistakes and picks and just different stuff. I mean, it's just more or less the same what it's been. But again, that's just a really good defensive line versus a Frankenstein O-line that, probably half of them shouldn't be starting at the NFL level whatsoever, especially not AJ Cann.
Right. We got a minute left.
Yeah, I know. I'm basically done. I'm just AJ Cann. Hate that guy. Terrible.
Yeah. And George Warhop, get him out.
Yeah, Warhop. He was with us too. No wonder AJ Cann got signed there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I got really. I didn't have a game this week, and I didn't really. Yeah.
I understand. Hey, boys, thanks for coming on for this episode. Folks, thanks for watching episode 75. We're going to go ahead and wrap here. Be sure to look for episode 76 coming up soon. Like and subscribe. Be good people.
Peace. Buy the merch.
Peace. Buy the merch.